I was lucky enough to find my soulmate late in life and got married and had my first child when I was 48 and have 3 beautiful children.
That was Fleetwood Mac singer Lindsey Buckingham's view on life a few years ago. It seemed like he'd finally overcome years of heartbreak, including a publicly fragmented relationship with Stevie Nicks. Lindsey left the band and rock and roll lifestyle behind after that. It led him to a woman named Kristen, whom he finally settled down with. The relationship also came crashing down, but could there be hope for them yet? Keep watching to learn why Lindsey Buckingham's wife tried to divorce him. Lindsey and Stevie. You can't talk about Lindsey Buckingham's love life without mentioning Stevie Nicks. It inspired the show Daisy Jones and the Six, as well as songs like Go Your Own Way and Dreams. Lindsey and Stevie knew each other before they played together in the band. They went to the same high school in Palo Alto, California. He was in a psychedelic rock band called Fritz and asked her to join. They had other relationships while in that band. Then they made a momentous decision. They decided to move to LA and start dating each other. Stevie later said, quote, "I'm not sure we would have even become a couple if it wasn't for us leaving that band. It kind of pushed us together." After moving, they formed a folk rock duo called Buckingham Nicks. Their debut album in 1973 flopped and the label dropped them. That caused fighting, but it didn't stop the music. Stevie had to take jobs as a waitress and house cleaner to make ends meet, but the seeds of hits such as Rhiannon and Landslide had begun to form. Serendipity came when Mick Fleetwood and John and Christy McVie met Lindsey at a studio in 1974. He was asked to join, but Lindsey told them he and Stevie were a package deal. This was before letting her know about it. When he finally did, she hoped it would help solve their relationship problems. Maybe being in a band and having enough money to live without waitressing would put them on stronger ground. So they joined what would later become Fleetwood Mac. The band was successful. The Rumors album included hits such as Dreams and Go Your Own Way. It won Grammys and is still one of the best-selling albums of all time. They weren't just songs for the world, they were messages to each other. Lindsey notes,
So Stevie was writing songs, basically dialogues to me. I was basically writing dialogues to her. And Christine McVie was writing dialogues to John. So you could say that what we did beyond the music was really tap into the voyeur in the audience. People really were able to invest in us as people.
The problem was being in the band wasn't great for sustaining relationships. Lindsey and Stevie broke up in 1977. John and Christine McVie also broke up. Mick Fleetwood even remarried Jenny Boyd in 1977 before re-divorcing her in 1978. Stevie even once said that Lindsey blames Fleetwood Mac for ending their relationship. The powder keg and closeness of the band led them to exploding. As she said,
Normally when people break up, when there's pain involved like that, disappointment, heartache, people are allowed a requisite amount of distance and time in order to let the dust settle before they move on. Well, we did not have that luxury. We were, in very close quarters, never had the luxury to be apart, so therefore never really had the luxury of closure.
The true details of what happened in the band are unclear. Mick once said, quote, "I think one day John and I will write a book on what's gone down. The only problem is no one will believe us." Trying to find a new love in the band. Stevie once said her relationship with Lindsey gave her a special perspective on who he really was. She said, "Nobody was looking into the heart I had looked into. Nobody was seeing the guy before he was famous. We knew each other before. That's what makes us unique to each other." When they broke up, she had a brief affair with Mick during his second marriage. Lindsey had an 8-year relationship with Carol Ann Harris. They got engaged, but never married. The band tried to stay together despite the tension. Lindsey and Stevie would reportedly shoot eye daggers at each other during personal songs like Silver Springs. Stevie also tried dating members of another famous band, the Eagles. She was linked with Don Henley, J.D. Souther, and Joe Walsh. She got married for a short time to Kim Anderson in 1983. Lindsey broke up with Carol Ann in 1984. He then moved on to Kristen Messner. Lindsey released solo albums in the 80s as well as live albums. Stevie left the band and built a solo career as well that included hits like Edge of 17, Stand Back, and Stop Dragging My Heart Around. They both eventually came back in 2018. Lindsey wanted to delay the tour for 3 months to promote his solo work, but Stevie was adamant. Things even allegedly got physical. They finally split forever, musically and romantically, on January 27, 2018. Lindsey claimed, though, that nothing that night was worse than what they'd gone through the 43 previous years. He was fired from the band. He believes it came as the result of an ultimatum from Stevie, saying,
"As far as you're concerned, you're not in the band because of Stevie."
That was what I was told by Irving, that she gave them an ultimatum, either Lindsey goes or I go.
Yeah.
And it would be like something as absurd as Mick Jagger saying, either Keith goes or I go. I guess we need the singer.
Stevie asserts this wasn't true, and she was not responsible for the firing. He still sued the band for millions, which was settled by the end of that year. Lindsey and Kristen. Lindsey admits it took time to leave the rock and roll lifestyle behind and find a real relationship. He said, quote, "I had a lot of crazy girlfriends, and a lot of that was just an outgrowth of the lifestyle we were all leaving. I did see a lot of friends who were parents and spouses back in previous decades who weren't really there and kind of screwed up their kids and were not there for their family situations. So I waited, and I was lucky enough to meet someone relatively late. It's worked out really well. I got all that other garbage out of the way." Lindsey met interior designer Kristen Messner in 1996. She was working on a photo shoot for one of his solo albums. They were married in 2000 and had 3 children together, William Gregory, Lily, and Stella. Kristen was surprised as well when Lindsey was fired from Fleetwood Mac. She said that when the band included Lindsey, Mick Fleetwood, Christine and John McVie, and Stevie Nicks, they were a family of sorts. Her children even called them aunts and uncles. The truth of the breakup is still unknown. Kristen's still angry about how it went down, but Lindsey reportedly reconciled with Mick. He's been having a successful solo career. He's since released 6 solo albums with a new one on the way and 3 live albums. He's also planning a nationwide tour with new music. His most recent album, I Don't Mind, is about the challenges couples face in long-term relationships. In regards to the title song, he says, "Over time, 2 people inevitably find the need to augment their initial dynamic with one of flexibility, an acceptance of each other's flaws, and a willingness to continually work on issues. It is the essence of a good long-term relationship. This song celebrates that spirit and discipline." Splitting up. Lindsey and Kristen's relationship seemed like it could last, but that wasn't the case. She filed for divorce after 21 years of marriage. Lindsey claims they separated on June 3rd, one day after she made the split official. They both cited irreconcilable differences. Lindsey has decided to make a few demands. He requested joint physical and legal custody of Stella, their only child who's still a minor. He also asked the judge to deny spousal support and that they both be responsible for their own legal fees. Is it really the end? The divorce filings haven't gone through yet. That means there's still time for the couple to reconcile. Lindsey told People magazine that he hopes they can heal their relationship. He said, "Relationships in the long term can be quite challenging, and they have their ups and downs. You gotta take that ride and be willing to take it." He also admits that the couple's relationship was one of many strained by the struggles of the COVID-19 lockdown. Kristen wants space after so much time together, and he supports that. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite Fleetwood Mac song? Let us know in the comments section below.